There have been a lot of rumblings on social media about a really big hurricane developing in the Gulf of Mexico. Is there some truth to that, or is it just hype? What's going on, guys? I'm certified meteorologist Jonathan Kagas, and in this video, we are going to talk about what is likely that phantom storm that's popped up everywhere on YouTube and social media. We're going to break that down, talk about why that is likely not going to happen, and then we're going to do an actual checkup on the Atlantic Basin, the Gulf of Mexico, the Caribbean, and into the Atlantic Ocean itself, see if there's anything out there. And then the Saharan dust. We still have a little bit in the Caribbean. Most of it is backing off, though. We have another round coming down the pipeline that'll be there in about 5 days. This round of dust could be even thicker than the last, and that could also impact the United States over the next few days. So what I want to do now is I want to show you the model forecast here of the GFS. Now, the one thing that I'm going to say is this kind of just goes in a hyper space here through the next all the way through June 28th. What I want to do is kind of take this back for you, and we're going to break this down. There have been a lot of rumblings on social media about a storm that has the potential to develop in the Gulf of Mexico. I caution that it has been one model, it has been the GFS model, and it's been the only model showing a big storm right about there. Now, I want to take this back into the future, and I want you to see if anything pops up into that circle. We are all the way through the end of June now, so we are about 16 days out, give or take, and nothing has popped up in that circle. You have to go way back to the last few runs over the last 4 or 5 days. The GFS has been showing something big in that area, and a lot of people have been latching on that there is going to be this massive storm. It's likely not going to happen. Number one, the GFS now already backing off. Number two, there is a really big bias in the GFS that shows a lot of times in May and June, these phantom storms developing. And every single year, YouTubers and social media people go nuts that there's going to be this crazy storm in the Gulf. You see, again, the GFS has already washed it out, and it's one of its main biases on that GFS model. Now, the European has never showed it, and the European continues to not show it. I know everybody loves the European. It's not the end-all, be-all. But again, to be able to go on something and to go with it and roll that, hey, we're going to get hit by a cat, whatever, hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico on this day, 300 hours out, it's crazy. So that is likely not going to happen. Again, we're going to watch for the potential here as I set this into motion over the next 10 days. And what we're looking at here is a bunch of red. We call this meteorologically vorticity. Basically, it's the amount of spin in the low levels of the atmosphere. One of the things, and as I back this up, you'll notice right down in this region, right off of South America, you see all this red. This is kind of the thunderstorm activity from the intertropical convergence zone rolling over South America and then into the extreme southwest Caribbean towards Central America. This is if we do get any kind of development over the next week, where it would be likely in between Jamaica and into Honduras, Nicaragua, in this area from those thunderstorms that are kind of rolling over the South American continent. So that would be something to watch. Now, basin-wide as a whole, you see it there. No new development expected over the next 2 days and over the next 7 days. So, again, a lot of what you're seeing there when it pertains to the Gulf of Mexico only, that development, when people have been showing that there's going to be this really large and really devastating hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico, it's likely hype. It's likely clickbait. Again, the GFS does this from May to June. That is what they are not telling you whenever they make those videos to get you to click on. We're going to let you know that, though. We're going to break it down there. All right, so here we go. This is all the junk here from the intertropical convergence zone. Again, the trade winds coming off of Africa and then coming out of the southern hemisphere, right on in through there. Still no thunderstorm development. That is because of some of the dust and dry air that resides there. Again, a basin-wide view shows the same kind of deal. As I remove the percentage chance, we do have a few thunderstorms out over the Florida Straits, over Cuba, over the Turks and Caicos and Bahamas. Still left over from all of that wet weather from last week that brought us a ton of rain. Closer view to the Caribbean shows, again, a flare-up of thunderstorms over Cuba, over the western Turks and Caicos, and then certainly over the Bahamas. You kind of see that little swirl there sliding through, bringing a lot of rain also to the Florida Keys. That is likely not going to materialize into anything tropical. Going to end the video. We talked about this earlier, that if you do, there's a lot of dry weather through the Eastern Caribbean, a lot of dry weather through the main development region of the tropics, which is right in here. That is all because of the Saharan dust. It's a stable layer. It's dry, dusty air, something that thunderstorms don't like. They like the environment to be high relative humidity. I'll avoid saying that M word that most people hate. But there it is right there. Again, more dust coming off the African continent. And I think this round of dust is going to be thicker than the previous round. I know we had some reports from people watching in Puerto Rico and in the Caribbean that the dust was really nasty last week, and I think it's going to get even worse. So this is going to be where we stand right now later on Monday, June 12th, and it's that white little plume there coming through. So you see it kind of, there's the little area of high pressure. You see that swirl right in here, those little arrows. And then here is the dust moving through the Leeward, Windward Islands into Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, getting into the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, Martinique, into Dominica, and then through Puerto Rico, parts of the Dominican Republic, and into Haiti. And then you see it kind of swirl up a little bit. So I think this round, as we get 7 to 10 days out, so we're talking about Father's Day weekend and beyond, that's where you see a light concentration of dust getting up into the North Gulf Coast, into Florida, and then into parts of central Mexico as well. I don't think it's a ton of dust. It's certainly not going to be as thick as what our friends in the Caribbean are going to be dealing with, but I do think it's going to help to enhance the sunrises and sunsets a little bit. I think it's that just the right concentration of dust there, and then you see another plume. So 'tis the season again for these dust plumes to happen. Alrighty, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, if you find this content helpful, if you like talking weather, and if you want to stay updated on all things hurricane season this year, you've come to the right place without all that garbage that's out there that I mentioned in the earlier part of this video. Please hit subscribe. We'd love to have you along for the ride. Let us know where you're tuning in from, and we will catch you next time.